Listen to the new episode of Real Talk on Spotify.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Fadi, and welcome back to another episode of Real Talk, a podcast where young adults talk about mental health and self-improvement and strive to become better every day. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something I have completely unscripted. I legitimately only wrote a couple of notes on my phone just to recall everything that I want to talk about in this podcast episode. And as you have noticed by the title of it, I called it Fall Deep, Rise Higher. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about 3 topics again. So we're going to be talking about how everything will fall apart until we are going to be forced to change. The second topic we're going to be talking about is that whatever we want to achieve, that habits are vital to have. And the third topic that we're going to talk about is we have to stop trying to flex, because at one point it'll come and bite us in our asses. So, as you all know, we always start off with this podcast by giving ourselves some kind words of affirmation. So I would like to invite you to close your eyes and just repeat after me. I am on the right path to a great life. I am manifesting a life of light and laughter. I deserve to be happy, healthy, and successful. Perfect. Without further ado, let us start with the first topic. So the first topic is going to be about how everything will fall apart until we will be forced to change. Now, I personally have noticed that happen every year, or every moment that I had where I felt like I'm breaking down, I'm gonna lose my mind, so many things are falling apart, I'm losing my habits, or anything that would ever happen. If I have any doubts about anything, or if I have the feeling that I'm letting go of the stuff that I used to do on a regular basis, continuously, something that would really benefit me, like journaling, like habit tracking, knitting, drawing, singing, dancing, whatever it could be, I'm starting to let go of it, and slowly it affects everything else. And I'm not saying that habits, like letting go of like hobbies, is something that could, disrupt your rhythm, which could also happen. But what mostly happens to people is that they let go of essential habits, like journaling. Journaling is such an essential habit to have. Journaling is a must, in my opinion, to anybody and everybody. Journaling is something that will always put you in a place where you can express yourself without any barriers, without any restrictions. You having the feeling that you're not like writing in a book, you have the feeling that you're talking to somebody throughout your own journal. You have the feeling that you're talking to yourself. You can express any emotions that you have. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. You can write as long as you want, as short as you want, as colorful as it is. There are legitimately no restrictions at all. And the reason why journaling is so vital as a habit to have is that it will always be there for you in every single life situation that you endure, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job opportunity, whether it's something that happens in your family, whether it's something that you have noticed in yourself, it can always help you. It can always help assist you in any given situation. For example, I'll take myself as an example. I have felt that at the beginning of this year, there were a lot of things that I have let go of, like I have completely disregarded. For one, it was me trying to understand my nicotine addiction. Yes, I have actually fallen back to it recently. I would say I fallen back to my nicotine addiction starting of August, and it became really hard to just detach myself from nicotine or from smoking generally. I found myself always going back to it, loving that little sweet taste, or loving the company that I had because I was always with friends. And it's like you combine these two things together because you're like, okay, the thing is, smoking is nice because of the puffs or whatever the reason is, and at the same time I love hanging out with friends, and so you combine them together and you excuse your addiction because it's fun. And that's something that I have noticed through journaling. I just started journaling, and I'm like, how come is this happening? How come is this happening? And I was always trying to find ways to understand my addiction or understand the reason behind why I'm initially smoking. And it came to my mind. I read about I think his name was Sigmund Freud. That's one of the pedagogical scientists, I would say. Don't take me for a smartass. I don't know who he is. He's someone smart. I really can't remember what he did, but I remember studying his theory in school, and his theory had different stages, and the first stage was the oral phase. And the oral phase basically talks about how a baby is supposed to feel satisfied orally. That means that the mother has to give him breast milk or give him this thing to nickel on. I don't remember what this thing was called, the thing that babies get when they can't stop crying or something. So something like that. So they build up a certain oral satisfaction based on drinking from the mother's breast, and that could, if the baby is detached from this oral phase way too early, it could build up to a stage of fear, trauma, and the most important aspect of this is oral fixation. Of course, I can't reflect back on my life to know what happened to me as a baby. It's given the circumstances that I don't talk to my own family. I don't have any contact, sadly, anymore. I can't really find out if this aspect had anything to do with my addiction, but I see this phenomenon of oral fixation to play a huge role in my life, because I remember I always loved having something in my mouth. I know it sounds weird, but I'm gonna be blatantly honest. It does have something to do with it. I always play with my pen in school. I would always used to take this pen, and I would always play with it. I would put it here. I would chew on it. I would do anything to have anything in my mouth. So a couple of days ago, I have started trying to find other ways to cope with it. So I was like, okay, is it really an oral fixation? Do I really need something in my mouth? Do I need to chew on something? Do I need to fidget with something? Is that what the case is about? Or is it really my nicotine addiction? Is it a nicotine addiction, or is it an oral fixation? Turns out it was actually an oral fixation. Now, how did I find that out? Because as soon as I replaced nicotine, cigarettes, vapes, whatever, with gum, I lost the lust for cigarettes. I started disliking them. I started building up this kind of a barrier between me and cigarettes, because I was like, that's what I need. It's like a unsatisfied need of mine that is not getting fulfilled, and that's exactly what I needed. So now, what do I mean by saying that? What I meant with it is that us reflecting on our own actions is what brings us forward. And why I named this topic to be everything will fall apart until we will be forced to change is because we would find a lot of stages in our lives where these kind of situations of where we're like so frustrated. Oh God, why do I keep going back to smoking cigarettes? It really makes us like mad at ourselves, and it starts like this damage process starts. It starts off with us feeling like we're so dumb, like we're not good enough to have the discipline to stop. We're not strong enough to just put down the cigarettes and stop smoking. Then it evolves into us having the feeling that we're not truthful to ourselves. We lose that self-trust in ourselves because it's like we're giving ourselves a promise that we want to stop. It becomes a New Year's resolution. That's something I saw in so many people, and I talked to so many people about it, and they're always like, I'm gonna stop smoking next year, I'm gonna stop smoking this year, I'm gonna do that, and it's like, of course it's a good thing to have New Year's resolutions, but let's take the nicotine addiction on itself. Some people fail to do that because they don't know why. They don't know why are they smoking in the first place. It could really have traumatic events or traumatic traumatic reasonings for it. It always has some sort of an explanation. So going back to that path, okay, I feel dumb because I can't stop smoking. God damn it, I feel bad. I don't want this feeling. I want to try to escape it. We start going on this. We start using this. We start using social media. We start using videos. We start using games. We start using porn, and we always want to run away from this feeling of this feeling of discomfort, this feeling of being stupid or feeling stupid, not being stupid, feeling stupid. Because it angers us that we're not able to do this. It makes us upset, and it makes us so uncomfortable because we really want to be different. We really want to have that discipline to change, but it becomes so hard on us because we're not understanding what is happening. And that's why when everything starts to break, or everything starts to crumble, it affects all aspects. It affects hygiene. It affects us showing up at work, at school, showing up for ourselves. It kind of also makes us let go of the small good habits that we had. Reading books. Let me take this as a good example. Making podcast episodes, actually. Cooking, socializing, anything of that sort. It really makes us give up on these stuff, and it'll tear us down until we're forced to change. And when we reach this point, it's like you feel like there's a star, or like there's like a beacon of hope in yourself, and you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to live like this anymore. I am so fed up to be like this. I want to change. I want to start understanding more. I don't want to just spew out the fact that I feel like I'm stupid. I feel frustrated that I can't stop. I'll start understanding why. And you start reflecting, you start journaling, you start working on it, you start, let me just say, Googling. You're Googling it at this point. You're just Googling why is that the case? You're pulling up Reddit and seeing what people are saying about that exact situation. You're looking it up on YouTube. How did other people deal with it? It's you starting to already work your situation out and trying to gain more perspective on it. And that's where the shift occurs, is when everything falls apart until you change. So the second topic that we wanted to talk about is that whatever we want to achieve, we have to understand that habits are vital. If it's creating something, making content, if it's about focusing on our jobs, any kind of job, we all have different goals. We all have separate goals that are like unrelated to one another, but we always have different ones. But how are we gonna achieve these goals if we don't have basic habits? How are we gonna show up how are we gonna achieve them if we don't show up? We have to show up for our goals every single day, accepting all the emotions that we're gonna show up with them. We can show up being mad, we can show up being sad, we can show up being depressed as fuck. We can show up not even wanting to be there. But that's what makes it beautiful. Is that I also think that sometimes we're not willing to accept the fact that it's okay for us to show up in any kind of emotion. It's fine. It's totally okay to show up being completely upset, mad, aggravated, whatever emotion there is. It's fine as long as I show up. We have to create habits in order to actually show up. We have to wake up early. We have to take good care of ourselves. Are we brushing our teeth in the morning? Are we washing our face? Are we cleaning our hair? Are we taking a shower? Are we cleaning them feet? Putting some cream on our hands? Basic hygienic needs. Basic hygiene. We really need to build up on these habits. Cooking meals, doing laundry, doing housework, cleaning the house. And journaling again. Journaling also is a vital habit. Showing gratitude, being self-aware, socializing with friends, connecting with family, with siblings. It's also a vital habit for achieving our goals. We always need to work on the ground base in order to build the rest of the building. Or we always have to have, like, if you want to make a cake, you need a plate. Like, you need to buy the plate that you need for your goal, and then you have to, clean the plate, or you have to put like some sort of a anti-sticking thing on it, and then you can put your cake on that plate. You get what I'm going. It's like you have to have a good foundation in order to work with what you want to have later. That foundation is vital. That foundation will determine whether you're gonna achieve your goal or not. Habits always will have a positive influence on any life aspect or any life goal that you have, because it will always let you know that wherever you're headed, that's the right path. Keep up on doing these habits, and keep up on showing up. So the last topic we're gonna be talking about is that we gotta stop trying to flex. We have to stop trying to flex, because I've been noticing that a lot lately with some of my friends, and I actually talked to one of them and I confronted them about this, and it's like they want to try to make it seem like a competition. Who's the better? Or some people are different. Some people want to make it a competition about who's doing worse. Does that really matter? Is it a flex? Is it really a flex to say that you're doing worse or say that you're doing better? It's not. It seriously isn't. It's not nice. It's not a nice thing to just be like someone opening up to you about their own achievements or about their own circumstances and situations, and you blatantly sitting there listening and offering them an ear. They're like, hey, can I tell you something? And you're like, yeah, sure. And then they started telling you something, and instead of you offering that compassion, which you, of course, you don't have to. You can just say, you know what, I'm doing bad myself. I don't want to make it seem like, it's you as the listener. I want to make it seem like, let's just take someone named Bob. Bob is doing that, and Bob would respond to you after you've opened up about anything, either achievement or something that you're struggling with, would say, well, I'm doing worse. I'm doing way worse. You know what happened to me? You'd like to know what happened to me? I'll tell you what happened to me. You know what happened? I lost my dog. My dog died yesterday. And you think what you're talking about is worse? This... Of course, I'm sorry for your loss. Your dog died. I'm sorry for your loss. Genuinely. Something terrible happened, and I'm sorry about that. But you trying to make it seem like a competition. You're trying to make it seem like what I'm complaining about is not worth complaining about. Is an asshole move. I gotta admit. Because this one quote that says comparison is the joy of thief, or is the joy of thief. Is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I think this applies to a lot of situations, especially this one, because Bob could have just said, okay, I'm really sorry you're going through that, but I'm going through stuff on my own as well. Would it be okay if you offer me that listening ear as well? Are you able to offer it to me? It's like, why don't we just work with each other with the power of love? Why do we have to flex, or why does Bob have to flex or do any, like, why does he have to show that he's doing worse or show that he's doing better? Is that really necessary? Of course, it's a good thing that you're doing better. You can take that for yourself. Take it as something that you should be prideful of, and saying, oh, thank God I learned how to, deal with it. But why should Bob just, like, why should you compare? Like, why should you voice that? That's hurtful. That makes people have the feeling that whatever they're saying is not worth of telling you about. It's giving the circumstance that they trusted you with this information. You have to be willing to let if you're ready for it, of course, leave your stuff aside. Leave your stuff aside. Offer that person a bit of compassion. They're trusting you with it. You're not forced to it. You're not forced to show that compassion or like that understanding. You can just decline it. But don't make it seem like it's something that is less valuable than what you're going through, because it is not. It's not something you should compare in the first place. It's just something that you should, take it as your own, for your own perspective, and think to yourself, okay, I see how different people react to different situation and different emotions and in a different intensity. Because everyone has a different approach into other things. Some people don't even act that emotional when their own cat dies. That's something that's unrelated to what you're thinking. Just because that's what you feel isn't what others feel. You don't have to go ahead and try to devalue what they're feeling. And I'm repeating myself now, giving the circumstance that they trusted you with this information. So why don't we just act in the power of love, offer everyone a bit of understanding, put our stuff aside if we are willing to do so, and offer them an actual listening ear. That's what I always do with a friend of mine. And I also told them, okay, I understand that you're going through this. That's what I said. And I also said, if you are willing to talk about your situation, or you have the feeling that your situation is worse, I will be more than happy to offer you a listening ear. But you devaluing my situation now, since you devalued mine, I don't really want to listen to you anymore. I was completely honest in that situation. And we talked it off. They apologized and I apologized back, and we hugged it out. We actually started crying. We hugged it out, and we just started talking about what was bothering us. And that's how we were able to solve the situation. We should stop flexing. We should really stop flexing, because it'll bite us hard. thank you guys so much for tuning in today's podcast that was completely unscripted. If you would like to listen to more of Real Talk, drop a follow, put it on your favorite, promote my podcast if you want to. I would really appreciate if you would. Honestly, you just showing up to my podcast is good enough already. And yeah, I appreciate you being here, and be kind to yourself. Bye bye.